Hello everyone and welcome back to another Doctor Who action figure review. In today's video I'm going to be taking a look at all three of the B&M Autumn 2023 figure sets. Now, why am I doing these all in one video? Normally I do them in separate videos. Well, because with these sets there's not a great deal to talk about, so I figured rather than repeating myself a bunch of times, I just do it in one big video, and then it's easier for you to watch, easier for me to make, and I can go into depth about each figure all in one go. So here we have all three sets. We of course have History of the Daleks set 15, History of the Daleks set 16 and 17, rather confusingly, and then in the middle the Deadly Assassin set. So which one are we going to do first? Let's take a look at my favourite of the three, which is the Deadly Assassin set. So we'll move the Daleks off camera for the time being, and we'll move the figures as well, and we'll take a look at the packaging. Now, the packaging is what we've come to expect. It is the new style guide. We of course have no window. The figures are sort of vacuum sealed to a plastic bubble that's against the card backdrop, but that's fine by me. Actually, opening the figures was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, so I have no problem with this being the packaging going forward. My only concern will be when they come to include accessories. Maybe there'll be a few problems there, who knows. But we have the Doctor Who logo in the corner, we have the TARDIS, the Deadly Assassin 1976 collector figure set, the Fourth Doctor, featuring the Fourth Doctor, Chancellor Goth, and Lord Barusa. We have 5.5 inch / 14 centimeter scale collector series, limited edition. On the side we have Deadly Assassin. On the back we have a huge write-up on the Deadly Assassin and the making of, sort of, the story. On the top we have the line version of the logo, which is very nice, and on the bottom we have all sorts of legal stuff. Now, because this is the Fourth Doctor set, we have a new colour. The colours seem to be very similar between all the different sets. So you may remember that the Five Doctor set that came out earlier in the summer had a darker blue. This one has a lighter blue, and then the 10th Doctor set over here has a very light blue. So, you know, they're going for different shades of blue, which is fine. I would have preferred something a bit more striking for the Fourth Doctor, but hey ho, it's only the packaging at the end of the day. So which figure shall we take a look at first? Let's take a look at the Doctor. Now, on face value, you may think, well, this is just the same figure 3 times over, and you are right. The figure actually uses the original Time Lord body from Series 3, which was released, I believe, back in 2008, 2009. It's a fantastic figure, and ever since this figure came out, I've been wanting them to do classic Time Lords. And for some reason, we've never got them until now. And now that we do have them, I am very happy that we do. So the robes are fantastically detailed. There's all sorts of creases going on, loads of details. It just looks terrific. We have the arms with loads of detail. The robes that the Doctor's wearing are very plain, but that matches the robes that the Doctor wears in the story, or the robes that he stole in the story. We have the brown boots. We also have the Time Lord collar. Now, the Time Lord collars are made of a slightly flexible PVC as opposed to a hard plastic. This is so that they don't break, which is very nice. And if I just bring the figure a little closer, you can see there's loads of really nice paint details, loads of nice sculpted details on the piping. On the collar, we have some yellow here, some orange on the inside, and then the entire collar seems to be in a sort of almost caramel colour, which is quite nice. Then we have the seals of Rassilon on the lapels, you could say. Now, I originally thought these were new sculpts, but they're not. If you take a look at the Series 3 Time Lord, you will see the modern sort of Gallifreyan symbol. And what they've actually done is painted quite thickly a coat of gold and then the seal of Rassilon. Do I mind? Not at all. It looks the part. You would never actually know that they were a different sculpt and that they weren't the Seal of Rassilon, so I don't mind at all. Obviously the big draw for this figure is the 4th Doctor head. Now this one has come in for a bit of contention. A lot of people saying it doesn't look like Tom Baker, or it looks like an older version of Tom Baker. Personally, I think it does look like Tom Baker. I think the thing that throws the likeness is the hair, but that's a byproduct of the cap that he's wearing, and I think it looks really good. It certainly looks better in hand, I will give it that. On camera it doesn't really look like him, I will admit, but in person it's a fine likeness and it's really, really good. Now I'll go over articulation on this figure and then it's the same on the other two. So we have a swivel at the neck, we have a hinge at the shoulder, at the biceps, hinge at the elbow, swivel wrist, swivel waist, and then there's a bit of articulation on the legs, but because of the plastic robes there may as well be no articulation on the legs. One interesting thing to mention is on the back, all of the painted details on the collar don't go over to the back, which is a bit of a shame, but you're never going to display these figures from the back, so it doesn't really matter. And this is the same on the other two figures as well. So that's the Doctor, a really, really nice figure. Next up we will move on to Chancellor Goth. Now this was my most anticipated figure of the entire wave, because we actually have an action figure of Bernard Horsfall as Chancellor Goth. That is something that I never thought we'd be able to say, and Deadly Assassin is one of my favourite stories, so to get an action figure of Goth is just fantastic. It's comparable to how back in 2013 we got an action figure of Marcus Scarman and no one ever saw that coming. So say what you will about character options, but they've been able to give us those really surprising figures that we never thought we'd get, which I have to respect them for. Taking a look at the head sculpt, it is fantastic. It's a dead ringer to Bernard Horsfall. The cap is very, very nicely done as well. It's just a really, really nice likeness. On the collar we have a bit of gold as well in between the now red piping. That's very, very nice. It's very striking as well, but obviously the most striking aspect is this sort of diamond crested robe that he's wearing. It's very, very nice. It's very intricately detailed. It's fantastic. We have what looks to be the sort of arrow shape tunic that most of the Time Lords wear, detailed under there. That's very nice. We have a different colour skirt section. It's more of a yellow, just to contrast with the rest of the robes. It's very, very nicely detailed. You can see that there are some washes as well throughout the robes, which really bring out the detail. It's very, very nice. And on the hands you have the communicator discs painted on. I don't mind that they're painted on because it gets the job done. They look the part, and it's just a very, very nice figure. Once again we have the Seals of Rassilon on the collar, looking very, very nice, but it's just the incredible aspect that we have an action figure of Chancellor Goth. So this could work in your Deadly Assassin displays, it could work as a War Games display if you choose to believe that Bernard Horsfall played the Time Lord in the War Games. I certainly do. So it's a really, really nice figure of one of the classic Doctor Who's more prominent actors, so it's fantastic to get this figure in the range. Last up we have Lord Borusa. Now there's a lot to like about this figure, but there's also one giant elephant in the room, and that is the head sculpt. This is not Angus Mackay, but this, as I'm sure you will have noticed, is the Series 3 Time Lord, as you can see here. Now I'm not quite sure why character did this, because the Time Lord from Series 3 doesn't look anything like Angus Mackay and how Borusa looked in The Deadly Assassin. I've seen a few people point out that it looks more like Borusa from the Invasion of Time, which is very true. So this could work as an Invasion of Time figure, Personally, I can overlook it because it's a very, very well detailed figure, and the head isn't the only selling point. As you can see, the rest of the costume is the selling point on this figure, and the rest of the figure is very well executed. We have this lovely maroon colour, almost purple, throughout the entire figure. We have a purple collar this time. We have the seals of Rassilon once again. Got red piping, some dark purple piping on the inner side of the collar. Moving down, we've got this lovely sort of dark pink tunic here. Then we have the lovely purple robes with this lovely gold etched design. It looks very striking. It's very, very well done. We have gloved hands with communicator discs once again. It's just a very, very nice figure, if you can overlook the head sculpt. Personally, I can. It doesn't bother me too much. Yes, it would have been nice to have got a unique head sculpt, but oh well. It's just a very, very nice figure, and yeah, I'm really, really impressed by these three. It's a very, very nice set. I've seen a few people say that they would have preferred the Master to be included instead of Barusa or the Doctor. Personally, I'm glad that the Master was excluded because we've already had that figure twice, I believe. So it's nice to get some Time Lords to go on the shelf, and they look fantastic. I've also seen a few people say that they would have preferred the Doctor to be in his Buccaneer shirt that you see him in during the Matrix scenes. That's very true. I probably would have preferred that to his Time Lord robes, but in terms of practicality, this one was always going to be the more likely figure that we were going to get, and you've got no complaints from me. It's a really, really nice figure in a really, really nice set. So if you like Deadly Assassin and you like Time Lords, what more could you want? So that's the Deadly Assassin set. It's a very, very nice set. So I'm going to move these figures out of the way now, and we are going to take a look at History of the Daleks set 15, which is Remembrance of the Daleks. So we'll very quickly take a look at the box on this set. There's not a lot to say. It's the same as on the Necros Daleks and the 5 Doctors set that came out earlier in the year. So if you want to know more, check out those videos on my channel. Except now, because it's a 7th Doctor set, we have the now purple colour scheme. Very, very nice. I really do like this. It's a lot more striking than the various shades of blue. So yeah, I really like this. But taking a look at the figures, first of all, we'll take a look at the Supreme Dalek. There's not an awful lot to say about this one. It is, for all intents and purposes, the same Supreme Dalek that we got back in the day, 2010, 2011 time now, in the original Remembrance of the Daleks 4-pack. In fact, I have it here for a comparison. Now, as you can see, the colour scheme is very, very similar. You could say that the silver on the new figure here on the left is slightly more vibrant, but there are a few notable changes, such as the midsection. We now have the new, more elongated oval in the middle as opposed to the original. I believe that's more accurate, so props there. We have the new ear dome lights, which are much improved. We have a new eye stalk as well, which I believe is more accurate. So once again, props to character for that. But it's just a very, very nice figure. It's a very well executed figure, and when you get a nicely done Dalek, there's a few things better. So you can see all the details for yourself. It's a very, very nice figure. Articulation is what you would expect from a Dalek. You've got the swivel at the dome, the eye stalk moves up and down, you've got the plunger on a ball joint, as is the gun, and it is of course on 3 wheels. So that's the Supreme Dalek. There's not a great deal to say about it, but the original is now a very expensive figure, so if you missed out on the original, like many did, this is a perfect way to add it to your collection. taking a look at probably the more interesting of the two figures now, we have the Renegade Dalek. Now, on face value, you might say, well, we've had the Renegade Dalek before. And here is the Renegade Dalek that came out in the Toys R Us exclusive Dr. Dalek set here. And as you can see, there are some very, very notable changes, chief among which being the colour scheme. The new Renegade Dalek has a much lighter grey colour scheme. Originally, I thought this was inaccurate, but someone reached out to me on Instagram and told me that this is in fact accurate because they have one of the original Renegade Daleks used during Remembrance of the Daleks. So the new one is actually more accurate, which I am surprised by, because watching Remembrance of the Daleks, I didn't think the Daleks were as bright as this. I thought they were in something of a midpoint between these two, but the new one is apparently screen accurate, which is fantastic because it's very striking. It's a very striking figure to have on the shelf. If you look at some of the other details, the midsection is the same as the Supreme Dalek. We've got the elongated oval, got the mesh in the slats, got the same new dome lamps, we've got the same eye stalk used on the Supreme Dalek, but the entire figure has this really nice chalky grey and black colour scheme, which is really striking, especially when you compare it to the original Renegade Dalek. It's just a very, very nice figure. So I'm tempted to pick up a few of these, build a bit of a Renegade Dalek army, but it's a really, really nice figure. There's just something about it. I like looking at this one on the shelf. It's really, really nice. So this is part of the reason why I combined these reviews, because there's not a great deal to say about this set. It's just a really, really well executed set to get some now very rare Daleks back into the collections. So if you missed out on any of the Remembrance of the Dalek sets that have previously been released, because I know that they're all now very expensive, this is a perfect way of adding these Daleks into your collections. And if you're wondering if we'll be getting a second History of the Daleks set based on Remembrance, much like they did Planet of the Daleks, I sort of doubt it, only because a couple of years back we got the Coal Hill School set, which included Ace and the Imperial Dalek. So if you want to check out that review, that's also on my channel, check that out. That was from a few years ago now. But yeah, it's a really, really nice set. So last up, we have the History of the Daleks set 16 and 17, which is the Bronze Time War Survivor Dalek and Dalek Sec. Now, if we take a quick look at the packaging, as you can see, we have the brighter blue colour scheme to signify that it's a 10th Doctor era set. We have new series golden black Daleks at the top, as opposed to a story title, which is interesting. We have Time War Survivor Dalek and Black Dalek / Dalek Sec, so it could work in a few different displays. More on that further into the review. As you can see, 16 and 17. So this set is technically based on Dalek and Army of Ghosts. Why they've combined two sets into one, I don't know. I'm sure that'll irritate a lot of people. I believe the reason is because there was only one Dalek in Dalek, but there was only one Dalek in the 5 Doctors, so maybe they could have done a Bronze Dalek and 9th Doctor set. I don't know. Then again, you can go into nearly any B&M store at the moment and find that 9th Doctor set from last year, so that's probably why they didn't do it. But taking a look at the two Daleks here, they are very, very nice. There's a lot to say about these ones. I'm going to kick off with the Black Dalek, or Dalek Sec, because this is effectively a re-release. We have had this figure before, but it's a very rare figure. So the original, which I have here, was a USA exclusive, available only through a single card release and in a USA version of the Doomsday set. So it was the Black Dalek a Cyberman and the 10th Doctor with 3D glasses. Now, the Dalek obviously uses the new slimmer Dalek mould. It's a very, very nice figure, but it was very rare for collectors here in the UK. So it's fantastic that the figure has had a re-release. As you can see, we have the glossy top half and the matte bottom half, but with the glossy hemispheres. It's really, really nice. And if you missed out on the original, be sure to add this one to your collections. It's a really, really nice figure. Got the blue in the eye stalk, we've got the ID tag, got all the details that you've come to expect from a new series Dalek. Got the gun, got the slats with the silver rivets. It's really, really well done. Articulation is exactly the same as on the Remembrance figures, so I'm not going to bother going through it again. But yeah, it's a really, really nice one. Taking a look at the more interesting of the two, I would say, is the Bronze Dalek, or the Time War Dalek. Now, the first thing I'll say is that it's very gold. It's more gold than bronze, I would say, certainly. Whether or not that's accurate or not, I don't know, but it looks really, really nice. It's the same mould as the Dalek Sec figure, so it's very, you know what you're getting. It's a very, very nicely done figure. There's a nice wash on it as well to bring out a lot of the details. Have the ID tag under the eye stalk, as you can see there. There are a couple of bits of paint that have been missed, so the housings for the gun, plunger, and the eye stalk should be black, but unfortunately they're painted gold as well, which is a bit of a shame, but hey ho. We have a sort of silver grey fender as opposed to a darker grey fender that a lot of the other new series Daleks have. But the way that you can distinguish this as a Time War Survivor Dalek, or the Dalek seen in Dalek, is the gold band around the midsection, which is strangely unique to the Dalek in that first Dalek story. No other new series Dalek has that, which I find a bit odd, but it's very nice to see it done here. And it's just a really, really nicely done figure. To bring in a previous Dalek for comparison, here is the SFX Dalek from back in 2012. Now, I do think this Dalek is more accurate, more screen accurate to how Daleks look in the new series. But this one is very striking and it looks really, really nice on the shelf. So I'm not complaining at all. As you can see, some of the differences, you've got more of a contrast between the gold sections and the bronze sections on this Dalek, as opposed to this one where everything sort of blends together a little bit. You've got the difference in the fenders and in the, as you can see on this one, the housings are painted black, which breaks up the colour a little bit, which is something that could have been done on this one, but sadly it wasn't. But overall, it's just a really, really nice figure. And how earlier on in the video I said that because this one isn't designated a story title, it could fit into many different displays. I actually have this set displayed in my 12th Doctor era section of my action figure collection, because in The Magician's Apprentice we do see bronze and black Daleks. So it fits in there. It could also fit in with your Asylum of the Daleks figures, or some, you know, if you missed out on the originals, you could put it with Stolen Earth figures, Army of Ghosts, Dalek. It could go in all manner of different displays. But there we have it. There is all three of the brand new Doctor Who B&M action figure sets. Like I say, there's not a great deal to talk about with these, but they are really, really nice figures. They're just very well done. And I think to get really well done figures, I would rather have well done figures than quite slapdash figures, like some of the ones that we've had in the past. So this gets my seal of approval. I'm really, really pleased to add these to my collection. There's a lot of new here, especially if you missed out on prior releases. It's fantastic. And we have some classic Time Lords at long last. So there we have it, guys. there is the Autumn 2023 offerings from B&M. You can pick these up in store right now. At the time of recording, if you head down to your local B&M stores, they have 10% off all toys, so you can pick these up for a pretty good steal. They are £22 each, but with a 10% discount, they come up to just over £20. But I think that's only for a week. So if you're watching this after sort of the 1st of December, sorry you missed out. But I really hope you can find these in stores. I had a bit of trouble finding mine, but after a couple of days I was able to pick up all three, and I'm very glad that I did. So thank you very much for watching. I don't know what's going to be coming next. At the time of recording, tomorrow is the 23rd of November, so there'll probably be some videos from me about the anniversary. But yeah, we'll wait and see what's coming up. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for another Doctor Who review. Thanks for watching. Bye.